Hello guys, hope you and yours are well. Got to make a wee trilogy of videos for you all on the common law and sovereignty. Common laws went pretty mainstream. Right now it's like blew up. It is the answer, it's the only answer out of this nonsense, guys. So I'm pretty grateful that a lot of people are wanting to know information, asking information about the common law. It's quite empowering to see. So I'm going to break it down pretty simply in layman's terms for everybody, because it looks complicated online. People are making it look complicated. There's people coming out with strange terminology to make themselves sound clever, and makes it sound complicated when it's pretty simple. Basically, you already know, guys. I'm just going to point out to you what you already know. You already know this stuff. It's inherent. The common law is basically like 3 rules. There's 3 rules within the common law. Don't steal. Don't cause anyone any harm. And don't damage any property. Don't create a victim. Simple as that. If you're going around creating victims and hurting people and causing harm, you're breaching the common law and you're a criminal. If you're not creating any victims and you're not harming anybody, doesn't matter what legislation says, you're not breaking the law. Legislation is no law. I've just told you what the common law is, which is the 3 rules. Golden rules, 3 golden rules: harm, loss and damage. Don't commit any of it. So the common law basically comes through the Bible, is where the common law comes from. It comes from the 10 Commandments as the common law, right? And there's really only one that you really need to follow, which is love thy neighbour as love thyself. Yeah? Simple as that. It's just, the common law is just love. Just being a vibration of love, and you're within the common law. It's that simple, guys. I can't break it down any simpler than that. It's the legislation that starts making the law look complicated, because people think that the legislation is law. When legislation is no law, it's a rule of society. Can be given the force of law, but only when consented to by the governed. And you consent by vote, or you consent by registering to vote. Even if you've no voted, just registering to vote means you consent to all parliamentary acts, statutes and regulations. So just don't vote, guys. Don't play their game anymore. It's that simple. Look, there's a lot of people going the paperwork route when it comes to the common law. People are asking you to make an oath of allegiance to the barons and all this nonsense. I'm not making the oath of allegiance to any barons. The only oath of allegiance I'll be making will be an oath of allegiance to the sovereign indigenous people of planet Earth. That's you. That's you, guys. That's where my oath of allegiance is. But so the common law, as I said, basically it comes through the 10 Commandments. But what had happened was every bit of UK legislation since 1992 has been rubber stamped by the EU, right? Which is unconstitutional. Can't be done. That's foreign policy coming over here. It's unconstitutional. So the 25 barons went and put the Queen on notice. Want to take the Queen to court for treason, for allowing this to happen, which they invoked Magna Carta, Article 61. You didn't need to. You don't need any paperwork or any certificates or any permission for anybody to stand within the common law. You just need to love thy neighbour. It's that simple. So I want to break down my introduction to the common law, which basically it came from a summer solstice party. I done a summer solstice party in 2010. I put it on Facebook and it went crazy. People came from all over the country. Convoy came all the way up for Stonehenge because they were getting tired of Stonehenge. Wanted something different, so they came to this party in Scotland and they brought a whole convoy all the way up through England with bands, people. There was bands from London, Newcastle, Liverpool, and the whole underground music scene in the central belt of Scotland got involved. It was a fabulous party, it was a beautiful party. Beautiful friendships were created at this party that still last today, many years listening, guys. It was a DJ at that party that I got my introduction to the common law, which Raymond Sturden, one love brother, one love. He sent me a link. John Harris, It's an Illusion, which I'll leave the link in the description. It's the best presentation. I've never seen a presentation, even to this day, that explains it in such magnificent detail. It's just explains everything you need to know. For the legal fiction, the name, the corporate entity which you think you are, which you're not, to the birth certificate, to the common law and the legislation. It explains a lot. So I recommend you, it's only an hour long and it's well worth a watch. That was my introduction to the common law, which then introduced me to sovereignty. And that sort of all transpired from the Magna Carta Article 61, which created the lawful rebellion movement, the freemen on the land movement, which was conspiracy theory back then. Sovereignty was a conspiracy theory in 2010. Crack pipes, honestly, absolute crack pipes. I had anarchists in 2010 telling me I'm no sovereign. Anarchy and sovereignty are the same thing. People rule. Democracy, anarchy, sovereignty and independence are all the same thing. They all are synonymous with each other. They all mean people rule. It's quite mad that people thinking this was a conspiracy theory, but here we are, eh? So that was my introduction to sovereignty and the common law, and that also it came from Canada. The movement started in Canada because it's British Columbia. It's the same crown corporate entity as the UK. So it was Canada that sort of influenced the whole thing to begin with, and then it came over to England. And I always knew like Scotland was a separate jurisdiction with their own law, our own courts. I couldn't find anything in Scotland. Everything I was googling was coming up Canada and England. I couldn't find nothing in Scotland. And then I came across the Scottish sovereigns. Bunch of legends, guys, every single one of you, absolute legends. So I'm going to introduce you to the Scottish sovereigns, some of the Scottish sovereigns who shaped this guy who's talking to you right now. I mean, Scottish sovereigns came for a different angle. There was no paperwork was involved, whereas the lawful rebellion movement were like handing their passports and their driving licences and birth certificates all back to the Queen. But up here in Scotland, the Scottish sovereigns had a complete different way of looking at it and thinking about it, because the people of Scotland are sovereign, right? So for eternity, for all time, forever, it's been protected forever within the Declaration of Arbroath and the Claim of Rights 1689. So we didn't need to deal with the Queen. She's not our Queen. Simple as that. I mean, when Scotland had kings and queens, we never had, Scotland never had just one king or queen. We had a people's king, a people's queen. It was always King and Queen of Scots, Mary Queen of Scots, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, not King of Scotland. No, they weren't the kings and queens of Scotland. They were kings and queens of Scots, the people's king, the people's queen. Hence why the Queen of England is designed as Queen of England. She can't be Queen of the UK because she can't be Queen of Scotland. Because I've read the Constitution of Scotland and I know what it says. I know what it tells me. Go read it. Claim of Rights 1689, Declaration of Arbroath. Tell me that I am King of Scotland. That's what it says. People of Scotland are sovereign. And I'm not saying I'm the only one, there's 5 millionaires. There's 5 million kings and queens in this land called Scotland. So the Scottish sovereigns came for a whole different mindset. It was all up here. You just have to attain the knowledge and carry it with you. And that's what I've done this whole time, and I've been trying to spread this knowledge over Scotland for 10 years. And there's not been many people listening, to be honest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to the people within the Scottish sovereigns that educated me. I'm going to start with a dear, dear friend, beautiful, beautiful man called Billy. Rest in peace, brother. Love you so much. I'm so privileged. Take that word away. I'm so grateful for this man's presence in my life, for this man's company, and the knowledge and wisdom that he shared with me and everybody else. Billy, also known as a peculiar and very interesting man, because we all dropped the legal fiction, the corporate entity, the name, and we found ourselves in self-determination. You can be whoever you want to be. Yeah, Billy became a peculiar and very interesting man, which he was. So we all had these avatars. Like your name, your legal fiction's an avatar. You can put it on, take it off, and use it whenever you want. Really, it's not you. My avatar became Solarized Bry. So everybody on the Sovereign website and Skype and Facebook and all that stuff, I was Solarized Bry. But I'm going to introduce you to Billy, and Billy's going to break it down to you about the paperwork and the stance that he took. And later on in the week I'm going to introduce you to more of the sovereigns and let you listen to their stance. You better hear what they told me and what they taught me, but you hear what you want to hear. I know what I heard, I know what I took in. You will take it in differently for me, but I'm going to give you the opportunity. This is Billy, Sovereign Scot, a peculiar, very interesting man. Enjoy.
And I'm going to get Billy up now. Billy, a round of applause for Billy.
The nutter's here. Right, cool. I need to. This is what I do, I fry your head. So I'm going to twist everything about for what you've all heard here today. Maybe they've heard it before. Anyway, I went to court. I went to court for 3 years. I used to fill in all the paperwork. I used to do other things to try and suss out what to do in court. And after all that time, I've been doing it for about 6 years now, just maybe coming up for 7 years. I wouldn't actually go to court myself again. You would need to drag me in to get me in there. I'm not getting invited to go in to talk to fictional things. I've dropped all that rubbish now. You can't talk to a fiction as a live man. If you go into court as a man, they can't hear you because we created all that stuff. You can't be above your creator. So I wouldn't go into court again, let them drag me into court, and then I would deal with it for there. But you want to do the paperwork. I had to do the paperwork to start with, to learn that I didn't need to go to court. Gary's been telling us, don't go, don't go, don't go, and we all want to go. You can't help it, because you think you're still attached to the name. They're sending it out to the name. Nobody sent me in, they sent it to William Stirling. Well, if I'm no William Stirling, what am I poking my nose in for? Why am I opening up the mail? Why am I doing all the things for the fiction and keeping it alive? We're the ones that are doing it. If it wasn't for us acting the role of the fiction, the whole thing would collapse. But we don't know who we are. We forgot who we are. We think we're these flesh and blood vessels here, that what we do doesn't affect anybody else. Well, I'll tell you, we're all connected. You can't escape it, you can't get away from it. It only is energy, and we're the energy, the conscious energy inside the body. Now, you can either go into what's called, I don't like this word, God, right? I call it the creator, because I believe it. Something must have created this. No matter what it may be, something created this. That's what it belongs to. It belongs to the creator. Everything on this planet belongs to the creator. Everything in the universe belongs to the creator. When you were first born, what was here when you were born? Was it already all here? Well, it can't belong to you then. So it must be somebody else's, no matter who it may be. Well, it either belongs to the creator, where you get dominion, 9/10 dominion over the planet, where all the resources are for us to use, when all we need to do is plant a couple of seeds and let it grow. Or you can live in the crown construct. You can live in the fiction, become the fictional character, and live in their construct where the crown owns everything, because they created it all. Well, the creator created everything else. My mum and dad created me. Their mum and dad created them. And it just goes right back to whoever created the very first thing in the beginning again. So you're back to the creator again. So you're either going to live in the crown construct where it's all fiction and they own everything, or you need to get rid of that fiction and get back into the real world where men and women are. That name's your wee avatar to play commerce outside for profit under limited liability insurance. If you want to play the game, use your wee avatar, use your name to play the game. You're a living being. You're meant to be using that to play, but we became the wee thing, the wee Scotty Doug. We don't know who we are, we've lost it. You believe that all these people have got the power, are you? Because we've been brought up that way. You're taught in school, you punish you, you'll take you to the deputy headmaster, we'll take you to the headmaster, always a higher authority, to make us believe that there is a higher authority. Well, there is to start with, it's your mum and dad. And the reason your mum and dad is a higher authority is because they know better. They've grew up, they've went through it all, they know and you don't because you're just learning. See? So, everything belongs to the creator. And if you let it belong to the creator and you just take your 9/10 dominion over it, where you just claim to be using it, then it belongs to you. Nobody can take it off you, because it doesn't belong to them either. It belongs to the creator, doesn't it? But if you believe the crown construct exists, then it's going to belong to them. See, nobody's got any power. It's who we believe has got the power has got the power. And who do we believe has got the power? The crown construct. We believe the post has got the power, believe the courts has got the power, believe that these lords and all this, they own all the land. You can't own anything, it's impossible. You own nothing. It all belongs to the creator. If you owned it, you'd bring it with you. You're born with nothing, therefore you're just getting to use all this stuff. If you use the creator stuff, it's free. If you use the Lord God's stuff, he charges for everything. And here, because we're doing is using all their instruments. They created all these things. You don't get a bill. The bill's no created, the bill's no yours. It's an offer. Somebody's making you an offer of a bill. You're perceiving it to be, oh, well, this is a bill for me. Well, you never drafted up a bill. You never drew up a bill. You never created a bill. It's no your bill, it's their bill. And they're trying to get you and me to accept it as yours. And we do it because this is what we've been taught. You know, so it's just the consensus reality that we've all been under. And we're brought up with our whole life. And it's so hard to get your head round that you've been living in a fiction. Because it seems all real. No, we are real, but the fiction isn't it? And we love it and we don't even understand what we're doing ourselves. But these higher up ones, they know. All the other wee Polish and stuff like that, they don't know anything. They're the exact same as us. Dumbed down. taught in the schools how to have these people that have got all the authority, have got all the power, they own all the things, and that we work for all them. Everything's a mirror, everything's the opposite. We own everything. Only us people. There isn't any government. Government doesn't exist. There's men and women that work for a government, and they work for us, so it makes we're the government. I don't know why we let them do it. I don't know why we put up with it, but we seem to do it because they pick us off one by one. We can't pick us off one by one when you get enough people standing beside you. These people are getting flung out the houses. I don't understand it either. I don't know how the communities don't get together, because all it takes is the people on the street to stand together, and nobody will get popped out their house. But people believe there's money, they believe they owe debts. You don't own any, so therefore you can't pay nothing. You can't pay anything, honestly. Me as a man, no get any money. Me as a man, can't get any money. Nobody will give me anything. I can use the name, they'll get to the name. Oh, I'm not the name, I'm not using it, so I can't get nothing. And I don't need anything, because everything is mine. It's my gas, it's my electricity. Everything belongs to me, it's part of my resources, and you can't take them off me. Unless you believe that it belongs to them, then you're back in the mindset that you've done something wrong, you're going to feel that you're stealing something, or done something because you think it belongs to somebody else. Well, it doesn't. Everything's yours. So you need to get your mind around the fact that you're living in a fictional world. You're using all the instruments that they created. You believe you're that thing, you fight for it, you defend it, you go to work for it, you get bank accounts for it, you get driving licenses for it, you get passports for it. Nothing to do with me or you. We don't need it. You only need it if you're the fiction. Stop being the fiction. You'll not be able to do it right away, but you're eventually going to have to unplug yourself for that crown construct, because they own it all. You can't be above your creator. And they created all the instruments. And if you're one of their instruments, they created you, and you'll never beat them. You've got to get rid of them by knowing who you are. And that's all really basic. I want people to understand. Just try and understand who you are. And you can't be a name, you can't be words. It's impossible. So if it's absolutely impossible for you to be the name, you know you don't own it, you know you commit fraud when you get it, you know it's criminal coercion for them to do it, why do we keep doing it? Why do we keep opening up the mail? Why do we keep living for it? Keeping the thing going? It's us. We need to get out the habit of doing it. So we need to stop doing that. So I've stopped doing it. I don't open up any mail. It's not addressed to me. Somebody sends me a letter to Billy. I might open up and see what it is. But send it to William Watson Stirling. It's not me. So would I like to put my nose in and open up for no contract, send it straight back? Nobody can contract with me. Shop shut. Shutters are down, padlocks on. I'm meant to use it as a business. So I just want you to try and wrap your head around some of the stuff, that how you're trapped into this world. It all seems real. I know we're living as if we're real, but not when you're using the name. When you're living the life of the fictional name, you're in a fictional world, doing fictional things. And titles, you could be a lord or something, now you're above the name that I had. Well, how does that work? Somebody gave you a couple of letters after your name and it affects me? Some guy wrote rules and regulations hundreds of years ago and I'm affected by it. Never met them, don't know anything about them. How could that work with me? See, only if you wanted to do it. Stop doing it. Unplug yourself. Like he says, global non-compliance. Stop complying with these people. Try and grow some food. Some couple of carrots, some totties, it doesn't matter what you grow. Start growing something, start looking after yourself. You need to start learning what you can eat outside. This system's collapsing. I hate to tell you it's going to go. Because everything's corrupt, there isn't nothing left. And the people are beginning to see how corrupt it is. And once everybody knows how corrupt it is, we're going to stop it. You've got to stop it. So it takes you a while, it takes you a long time to lose your fear. It took me a while to lose my fear. It took me 5 years to stop taking tablets that the doctor was giving me, because I believed. They told me I would die if I didn't take them. Now if somebody tells you you're going to die if you don't take something, and your consensus reality is that doctors have learned, they know better than you, they've been taught all this stuff for years, and then it's hard to go, rubbish, that's all rubbish. I know it's all rubbish now. I've not took any tablets for over a year now, and I feel 100 times better than what I did taking them. You know? So, we need to stop taking their stuff, stop taking their medications. They're no good for us. There's no cures anywhere whatsoever. They're just to make more profit out of you. They'll give you tablets, they'll make you sicker with something else. But it's all right because I've got the other stuff to sell you when this next problem comes up. And then I've got the next stuff and the next problem comes up. Eventually you die and then you're insured anyway. You've got national insurance. Don't take insurance. Insurance subrogates your rights and defences away. You're not taking full responsibility for your actions. You want limited liability. Oh, well, what happens if something happens? I don't want to take responsibility. So I'll get it insured. Well, guess what? You're a child again. You can't look after yourself. Subrogate your rights and defences away. And as soon as a wee bump happens, bang, you can't say nothing. It belongs to them now. And if these courts, if you want to go and play in the courts, learn how to do it right. Learn how the court operates. Learn how it works. Bond the court. You need to take a bond in. You need to bond the court. You need to indemnify the public in case you cause any injury in their fictional, crazy world. And it's all done through bits of paper. Now, you need to go and watch some Winston Strout if you want to do that sort of stuff. Because you need to replevin the bond that he's already under. Then you need to be days. You need to know how to gift it to the tax man. Because you can't collect on any bond. You can't get any money. You've not got the power, you've not got the authority, and you don't know what to do. Tax man can get his money, believe me. Taxman will come after anybody, don't care who you are. You think you're a judge, high up thing me? Taxman wants his dosh to get you the creditors. That's all they're interested in. So, courts are just there to steal money. That's the only thing they're there for. They're not there for men and women any longer. We used to believe they're there for men and women. Some people still do. Some people that even use still believe that they're there to help us, there to assist you, there to do things for men and women, but there's no men and women in a court. You can't be a live thing in a court. It's a fiction. Fictions can't interact with the living. You can't jump into the book and start talking to them. They can't hear you. But yet we keep trying to do it. We keep going to court. We keep trying to do all this stuff. It's impossible, honestly. You need to really stop doing it. Anyway, fill in some paperwork to start with, because that's what I had to do. You need to learn. You need to learn what to do to start with. So if you've got to fill paperwork in, fill it in, go to court, listen to some people about what they've actually done before, something that actually might work. Because I've done everything. I used every single thing that I learned on them, year by year by year. Well, they kept giving me more time. So, gave me another 3 months before I go back to court, 3 months of learning, used the next thing I learned on them. Another 3 months before I go back to court, learned some more, used that on them. I used everything. So you can bond them, you can go in, you can use what Gary says. I'm not going to contract with a civil or criminal. You can use the stat deck. You can go in as an agent, you can go in as the director, because your birth certificate is your certificate, that's your share, a stock in the Commonwealth. You're the sole shareholder. But when you go into court as a director, you better know how to direct the court. Because he's going to suss out, if you go and say I'm the director and then you don't start directing, then he knows instantly you're not a director. Two-minded, back in again, and then he'll jump on top of you because he's administering the estate. He's looking after the men and women, the living things. No, not us, because we don't know who we are. He's looking after the creditors, the ones that they know who they are, the ones that operate their business, the ones that don't own anything because they don't claim to own it. The owner pays. Do you not know the owner pays for everything? Yeah. If you would just leave the thing alone, they'd have to pay all the debts of their own instrument. Like Nala said, the comptroller of the country. They've got to pay their own things. But we're saying, this is me, I'll pay for it. I've been using it. I've been working for it. I've been paying tax for it. Well, it's not even your debt. So, stop doing it. Try and stop doing it. Get out of fiction, get back into the real world where men and women are, so we can start looking after each other for real. And stop playing games with dressing up and things. We could go as cowboys and Indians. We cat corners for cowboys and Indians. This one's for nurses and doctors. And this one's for the lawyers and the judges and stuff like that. It's just all fiction. The whole thing's just a joke. But once you learn it's a joke, you'll be able to wrap your mind on it. You'll be able to set yourself free for this thing that you've been trapped under all your life. And get rid of it. It's only words. It's magic spells that work on my brain. You know, if I can read something like I says, if I can read something and feel feelings in my body, feelings of intrepidation, feelings of fear, just with reading words, that's magic. And this is the magic that they use on us. And we don't understand it. So, it's your own perceptions about what you're getting taught in school. Get rid of all the perceptions that you've done with. You need to forget everything that you've ever learned, because everyone's the opposite.
Billy, you ready? You're
Aye.
Excellent, Billy.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
You don't want to try and enforce these statutes and acts upon me, saying I'm a citizen of the United Kingdom. You know what I mean? I've got all these benefits and privileges I've been using the name. That's because of this name. Now, when I was first born, right, my mother informed on the government in my name. They created a legal person. I said, and then it turned into a tangible form, a certificate for everybody to see. It's called a birth certificate. They gave it a date of birth. Right, that's an event that happened when I was born. That event is.
A slave
Right,
bond.
now that legal person that got created is the thing that the government owned and controlled, because they actually created that instrument. It's their instrument.
Yes.
Now the thing my mother and father gave me was a name. She called me William Watson, right?
Jenny.
So that name, William Watson, is just two words, right? It's two words that my mother and father gave me as a gift when I was first born. It's no me. The word's only me. I might be a man that uses that name.
But you're talking about your perception, which
No,
is
that's not
kind of
so-
because when you talk to these guys and they talk about William Watson, they associate that term with you,
Yep.
and they associate that with who you are.
But it's not me. It's just a descriptive thing for naming identify who I am. No, but we're talking about Scots stuff.
You
Hold
can
on.
call it
Hold on.
spoon, but
Courts
it's still
we're talking about legalese and courts. Courts don't perceive it that way. When you go into a court under the name, but a surname is something that they created, they only control you. No, they didn't create me. I'm a man, my mum and dad created me, and their mum and dad created them, their mum and dad created them, all the way back to the creator.
There you have it, guys. Billy, a peculiar and very interesting man indeed. So you heard it off of Billy there. I mean, as soon as you start playing with paperwork, as soon as you start using anything within their construct, you're falling into their jurisdiction. As simple as that. So I'm going to drop one of these videos every night of the week. Be 30 minutes, between 30 to 40 minutes each video, no more than 40 minutes. So there'll be another one tomorrow, but just a wee heads up for everybody. People that are worried about the Babylon come knocking on your door, your business door or your front door, whatever. If you've got a business that you want to keep open and you're worried about that knock on the door or that arrival, that presence of the Babylon coming to pester you, stick a copy of Scots Claim of Right 1689 on your front door, along with the Declaration of Arbroath. The Magna Carta seems to be going pretty viral right now, which is applicable in Scotland. People saying that it's not, but it is. A lot of Scots helped design the Magna Carta. But if you're in Scotland and you're worried about that, just stick a copy. Go and read it. Go and read the Scots Claim of Right. It tells you that who you are. There's no higher authority in Scotland than a Scot. End of. Our sovereignty supersedes the Crown, supersedes Westminster. We're the highest authority in Scotland. So if you're worried about that, knock on your business door, stick the Claim of Right 1689 on your front door, stick it on the window for them to read, put it in their hand and tell them you're staying open, you've got family to keep, you've got money to earn, you've got bills to pay. Now at the end of all this wee trilogy that I'm setting out for you, I'm going to play a speech which is going to come after this, which is a speech by Christine Graham all about sovereignty in Scotland. And she made this speech in 2012, just before the referendum. It was actually the guy Gary Collins who ran the Scottish Sovereign site. He must have known that the speech was coming up, and he recorded the audio of the speech, 6-minute audio of the speech. You need to listen to it over and over again. Each time you listen to it, new information pops out. Now, I'm going to drop this at the end of each of these trilogies because it's going to lead up to the end of the trilogy. As a lot of it is contained within that speech. You need to listen to that speech. The whole of Scotland needs to listen to that speech. It's viral. It needs to go viral. It really does. We try to get Christine Graham on the radio show to talk about it. She doesn't want to talk about it. Now that speech is non-existent. It doesn't exist. It's vanished. There's nowhere. The only copy that there is the copy that Gary recorded, the audio recording that he copied, because every other copy that's online has got Gary's dog barking halfway through the recording, which means every copy's his copy. So big up to Gary for recording that, because if he didn't record that, it'd have disappeared. And it's vital information for Scotland. You need to please listen to it, and take care of each other. If we don't take care of each other, nobody else will. One love and light, guys. Enjoy the rest of the trilogy and listen, deep listen to Christine Graham on sovereignty in Scotland. One love and light. Peace.
In 1989, in the words, "We gathered as the Scottish Constitutional Convention do hereby acknowledge the sovereign right of the Scottish people to determine the form of government best suited their needs." Indeed, that Constitutional Convention was proposed in a private member's bill way back in 1980 by the SNP leader, Gordon Wilson. Now, where did that sovereign right come from? There is no written UK constitution, but fragments of an incomplete constitutional jigsaw, some predating the Treaty of Union. And for example, as already been mentioned, you have to go back as far back as the Declaration of Arbroath, a declaration of Scottish independence and also of conditional monarchy. Yet the quote is, "Yet if he should give up," talking about Robert the Bruce, "what he has begun and agree to make us our kingdom subject to the King of England or the English, we should exert ourselves at once to drive him out as our enemy and a subverter of his own rights and ours, and make some other man who was well able to defend us as our king. For as long as but 100 of us remain alive, never will we in any condition be brought under English rule." That is a king there by leave of those at the time representing the people, a narrow bunch at the time, some 51 magnates and nobles, but nevertheless, he was on parole. Now, the significance of those words resonating through the centuries exercised through the express will of the Scottish people, which takes me to why Queen Elizabeth is designed as Queen of England. I think, if my recollection is accurate, it was Henry VIII of the Tudor dynasty who, installing himself as head of the Church, embedded the divine right of kings to rule. Sovereignty, the embodiment of which was the monarch, was absolute. As through centuries power was removed from the Crown and transferred to the English Parliament, so was sovereignty. And so the English Parliament was indeed sovereign, but that does not overrule or supersede the conflicting principle of the sovereignty of the Scottish people. The Treaty of Union, 1706 Article 3, states that the Union be represented by one and the same Parliament, to be styled the Parliament of Great Britain. The significance is that it was not a continuation of the English Parliament, nor indeed the Scottish Parliament. Sovereignty, therefore, for Scotland remains as it always was, with the people. I can also pray and aid the case of McCormick against the Lord Advocate, 1953 session cases. It was the blowing up of the post boxes with E2R in them because Elizabeth was the first Elizabeth of Scotland. And the following remarks made obiter in that case, and I quote, "Considering that the Union legislation extinguished the Parliaments of England and Scotland and replaced them by a new Parliament of Great Britain, I have difficulty in seeing why it should have been supposed that the new Parliament of Great Britain must inherit all the peculiar characteristics of the English Parliament, as if all that happened in 1707 was that the Scottish representatives were admitted to the Parliament of England." That was not done. The principle of the unlimited sovereignty of Parliament is a distinctly English principle which has no counterpart in Scottish constitutional law. So why the potty constitutional history lesson? Because it's significant to the legitimacy of the referendum. It is, of course, not consultative. It has legal, constitutional authority as well as political authority. In 1979 and then in 1997 there was no Scottish institution to provide a mechanism for asking the Scottish people a question on the Constitution. In 1979 the UK government took it upon itself by drawing up a referendum and of course drew up the questions, chose the date, 1st of March 1979, right in the middle of the winter of discontent when snow was falling over Scotland. That in itself was an omen. But the 40% rule, which effectively counted the dead and those not exercising their franchise to vote as a no, was the real treachery, compounded by Sir Alec Douglas, whom, on the eve of poll broadcasting, we should vote no for a better deal. Plus ça change. Plus c'est la même chose. Now we have our own mechanism in the Scottish Parliament, but we don't need to have a Parliament. Even if this didn't exist, and the Scottish people were to stream out onto the streets of our towns and cities, into our villages, on megaphone, on marches, online, and say with a clear voice, they wanted an independent Scotland again, that would be a declaration of independence and no challenge from the Palace of Westminster, nor the corridors of the United Nations, nor this place, nor any courts could gainsay it. The Scottish people would say they'd done it, and they'd done it their way.